Welcome back, everyone. I'm Annie Faison Baker yet again here with Sheri Clarke, the co-founder of Picture This Travel, and we are continuing to talk about her experience and her journey in Africa because it was quite amazing, as you've told me so many times. But now let's talk more about Kenya. I know that you were there after you went to Rwanda. So let's kind of talk about that moment whenever you first got there and just the beginning of the journey for that.
Right. So Kenya was also an incredible experience and a great addition to another country like Rwanda. Rwanda, you're only going to be there for 3 or 4 days. So it's great to add another country like Kenya onto that. And then you get more of the traditional safari experience. So quite a bit of a difference. So you land in Nairobi, again, another kind of big city, kind of bustling. Typically, you're going to get there at night. So there's a nice hotel that we just stay there and you spend the night and you wake up fresh the next morning to start off your time in Nairobi. Normally, you'll do a few things there that are worth doing before you get on a bush plane and then head into the safari.
Now that you kind of talked about the bush planes, though, sometimes people might be weary or might be a little nervous about doing that. So, what were your experiences doing that? What you liked about it?
Right. So there are two different types of people that get concerns. The first is, I can't do enough luggage. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to take this time? How much stuff can I take? And you can't take a lot. It's a small plane. You take a duffel bag, but really lean into that. Like, for me, it was refreshing. I packed basically the same kind of pants that I wore every single day, just t-shirts. You don't have to have a lot of makeup. This isn't one of those I'm going to glam it out type of trips, right? So lean into that, enjoy that for a different type of trip, right? And so then I get the people who are nervous about those smaller planes. Again, very safe record. I think you'll kind of enjoy it once you really get into it and realize how good it is.
So, I know one of the first things that you did after you stayed the night at the hotel, you got some sleep, is you did the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, which you got to adopt 2 elephants as well.
I did.
It was incredible from the videos I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me about those moments too.
Okay, first of all, what an incredible trust they have there. They're taking orphaned elephants, and they have either the moms have been killed, they were found hurt, and they needed some help. This is such an incredible place. And when they introduced us to it, this group that I was going with, I knew I had to adopt some elephants. So I did adopt 2. It happened to be right before one of my son's birthdays, and he's 28 and doesn't need a lot. So I told him I adopted an elephant for him for his birthday. He loves elephants. And that was pretty special. Then we adopted another just for the family. It was really incredible.
You had to. You had to adopt more than one.
Exactly. I just couldn't do one. So when we got there, they had our elephants out there, and we did private experience. So normally when you go, there's like 200 people. You don't get to go in there and play and hug on the elephants. But because we had just a small group of us, all travel advisors, we did a private show, if you will. They brought the elephants up, and we got to love on them and hug them. And some of the other advisors had also adopted some elephants. It was a really incredible experience. And then we get to learn what they do to get these elephants back out into the wild. And that's the goal. It's not to keep them there. It's to get them healthy enough that they can go back and get adopted into another elephant family. So that was a pretty incredible experience to see how that works.
So now let's also talk about the lodging, the camp experience, certain things like that in Kenya where you kind of were, honestly, from pictures of videos, I mean, you were right there in all of it. So it was probably breathtaking too.
Yeah. So when you take that first bush plane and you go over to your first lodge, Lasaba Loda Springs, that we stayed in, and it is a 57,000 acre conservatory. And it was incredible. Only about, I think they said there was a total of 4 lodges with no more than like around 100 people there at one time. So you got 57,000 acres for the animals to roam around, and you're, out there. There's really nobody else out there when you're out there going and looking at the animals. So our lodge was relatively small, and we only had 8 people with us, and we bought the lodge out. So it was really kind of cool to be able to do that.
What is the most important thing whenever you're doing these safaris, you're having moments like this? What or how important is it to have like trusting partners that you're working with, people that are local, that are just really knowledgeable about the environment as well? Why do people you travel in to make sure they get that experience when it comes to moments like this?
I think it's really one of the top things because there is so many different ways that you can experience that. So not everybody has to have the ultra luxe, right? Or somebody might want to feature more food heavy, make sure the food is fresh. Or they don't care if they have a tent at camp. They just want some of the basics. So you really have to really sit down and ask questions about what every person wants. And it does, matter about budget, right? What is the budget? So if you're working with an advisor and then they have their local in-country partners there, that is really the win-win of everything, right? Because then we're making sure that you're getting exactly what's good for you, what works for you.
Okay. So now let's talk about the actual safari.
Mm-hmm.
The moments, I know you talked about some elephants as well, and whenever you were embraced by them. So tell me about some moments that kind of left the whole group speechless.
Yes. I think I literally just got chills on my body thinking about this. It's incredible. I was in the truck. It's a safari toilet lane cruiser type truck that they take you out in, right? And there's no top sitting, the sides are down. And I was in that with a lady who'd been to Africa 200 times. She is my African specialist that I always use. Shout out to Louise. Love her dearly. I've been using her for over 10 years for all my Africa. And so she and I got to experience this together. And we're sitting there and there's the middle of a huge herd of elephants. And they are kind of walking around. Where our truck was positioned, they started walking toward us. And there was a baby that was literally suckling milk as he was walking. I mean, we could see drinking the milk. It was all happening. They're all coming toward us. And they almost like welcomed us into their family. They did a little bit of with their trunk. And they just came in. We were all like, I mean, I could reach out my window and talk to them if I wanted to. Did not feel scared. I looked over at my friend who's been to Africa 200 times. She had tears in her eyes, literally coming down. She wasn't even filming because she was so enveloped in that moment. And it was truly a moment that I will never forget. And I was like, well, y'all please adopt my little baby. She's really sweet. She's in Nairobi. She'll be coming soon.
Love it. Okay. So, but why was this trip also? Why was it the perfect blend of luxury, but also adventure?
So I think this is what I just mentioned, right? Like luxury is whatever you want it to be, right? Luxury is not always about just this 5-star hotel. It's about the service too. I mean, we were constantly, anything we wanted, we were able to get it. It's that attentiveness. Not just like I want what I want. It's that attentiveness. People are wanting to see that you're seeing their country the way that, it is, right? And seeing it in its natural state. And that's a beautiful thing. But that adventure part is that you don't have to be all dolled up every single night, right? Or day. You can just get up because you're getting up at the crack of dawn. We're up before sunrise and we're out. So note this period on makeup and all that type of thing. So you have to have that little bit of adventure spirit to walk in the mud if it's there, to climb up into the jeeps. There are some more things that are not always the glamorous side of when you might think of for luxury, but you can combine both of those and have an incredible trip, a very well-rounded trip.
What do you think you learned from this trip as a travel agent that you would like to tell the people who are watching this video, that you've told your family and friends, that you just really want people to know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that we all learn from this, right? When you're there, there's just little nuances that you can't really until you're there to discover. One of the great things I absolutely want to make sure we touch on, because we did stop into the Masai Mara area where the Masa tribes are really about 30 years behind in the way they treat women. And young ladies are normally getting pregnant by the time they're 12, 13 years old. So the company that I book everything with, Kensington, they have a nonprofit there where they're housing and putting girls in boarding schools to teach them, with education is everything. And so it's incredible the way they are really working with them to make sure that these young ladies are being taught. They even have a couple that are in college and one that's in med school. So when you book with a company like myself and then the suppliers I use, part of that money is going to build those villages for them. So there's 3 different schools there. There's a medical facility that is incredible. And so there is a lot of give back in Africa as well. So while you might feel like a little bad because you're going in this luxury tent, it also has a good meaning to it because every portions of those proceeds are going back into the community. And so that's in most every community that you go to, every lodge that you go to. They are giving those people jobs, but they're also educating and giving some of the money back to their community, which is an incredible thing to know.
I think you also did where the young women were making beads. They were making the bracelets. And you got to experience that. That was another type of thing up where they're really pouring into young women who might be struggling or might be still trying to find their ways. Yeah, right.
That was a single mothers, which is always touches my heart because at one time I was as well. So yes, and that was in Nairobi, and they have an incredible bead factory there. You can go watch them make the beads, and it was a really a neat thing as well. So there is a lot of give back, and I think most people that are traveling these days, they want to get to know the community, right? They want to be involved in that. And knowing that some of their money is going back to help the community is really a nice thing.
And also the Giraffe Manor.
The Giraffe Manor. Oh, gosh, I could almost forget that.
I know, because that was one of my favorite things I saw from your social media.
Yeah, we were pretty excited to be able to see this. This is a luxury 12-room boutique property that you rarely get to go and tour. So as travel advisors, we get to go and do what we call tours of the places. And you don't normally get to do the Giraffe Manor, but they had us for lunch there as well. So we got to tour it. We got to have lunch there. It was incredible because I do have clients that go there all the time. So it's nice to be able to see it, and I can describe a little bit more about why it's so special. It really is a special place.
So how does tourism and things like this, I know we brought it up earlier, or in the first episode, we were talking about the conservation aspect of things. How did you see that as well in Kenya and the importance and how vital it is?
Right. It's the same way as really through most of Africa. They all lean toward the anti-poaching. We actually went to see some dogs where they train them, and they go out and look for the poachers and things like that. Okay. So there's the money is always given back to different types of the people at the anti-poachers. So it's really great to see that.
Perfect. When it comes to these moments that you've had and that you really were embraced by not just the safari, but the people, I know that you also mentioned the tour guides in the safari and having those things like that, the food that was right in the middle of the field, it looks like. Out of all of that, what would you tell people that some of these, you're 60 years old and that you're really wanting to embrace everything? What would you tell people, again, we were watching this video, why they need to dip it, why they need to book it, and they don't need to book that?
Yeah, I think really it is such an emotional experience. It is very it's like almost, it's hard to describe it, but it is a very emotional experience. You really get grounded, if you will. There's a lot of times I was waking up, and this is not me, waking up well before dawn to watch the sunrise. There's just a lot of moments like that where you can either spend alone or with your loved one and have this really a connection to nature. And I think we all need that, right? We're so over digitized, right? We got so much digital in our face all the time. No TVs in any of these lodges, and I love that. A lot of tented lodges. So we were staying in, they were actually feel like right in the middle. They're very high-end luxury lodges. Think about taking a bath or on your deck, and there's an elephant out there. You can hear them. It's incredible, these type of experiences that you have.
Last thing, I know you kind of touched on it, but how did this first-hand experience, how will this help propel and prepare you for clients that are interested or that are coming to you and asking specific questions?
Yeah, I mean, you just haven't been there, right? Anytime you go to a place, you can be more passionate about it. And I can talk to them about the food. I can talk to them about the people. Every guide that we left, we felt like we were leaving our best friends. And we still follow each other on Instagram now. And I get to chit chat with them every once in a while. They are so invested in making sure you share, like, you can see all the animals that you want to. You get to see the big fights. So the amount that they go for, oh, can I tell something else real quick?
Yes,
So they had never seen The Lion King. So,
oh my goodness.
So none of
my
us guys,
favorite Disney movie.
right. So they had never seen The Lion King. So a couple of the girls were talking about it, and this one, she said, okay, that's it. We're going to put a showing on for you guys tonight. Call up the manager. We need a screen. And of course, all of us are travel advisors, so we're all used to planning. So my gosh, that girl went to town, and we had a show for them. We had drinks, we had appetizers, and we gave back to our guides, who are Masamari, who really don't get to have anybody doing for them. And it was such an incredible experience. So we got The Lion King on. They downloaded it from their phone, strung it to the TV. We had a big event for them, and to watch them watch it was pretty special. So I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about that.
I know.
That was really cool. That was really cool. So sorry for divulging off of your last question.
It was great. Perfect. Perfect.
It was really one of all of our the greatest moments, seeing them watch because all of us come and talk about, all Americans come and talk about The Lion King, holding the baby up, that's where it was all about.
Yeah,
so they were like, oh, it's really kind of true to forest. I mean, it was really incredible.
Wow. Well, such a beautiful experience.
Yes.
Sounded like a beautiful trip. Thanks for sharing it with us and having everyone listening on what you think the tips and tricks when it comes to visiting Africa. And make sure that you're tapping in on Picture This Travel if you're interested. And as always, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.